Welcome back for another edition of Tech Talk Tuesdays. I'm Zach.
And I'm Dalton.
And today we are going to go over news, we're going to go over a tech tip, and then we are going to get into our discussion on the different types of web browsers.
So Google has finally disclosed their Google Chrome data farming practices. Chrome collects more data than any other browser due to Apple requiring developers to release their information for apps on their store. DuckDuckGo, a privacy-oriented search engine company, has been after Google's practices for a while and once again called them out after this disclosure. DDG has seen a substantial increase in downloads in the past month.
So a lot of what is being collected, some of it is useful in terms of making the browser work, but some of what they're collecting is completely absurd for the purposes of a web browser. One of the sections was that they collect your financial information, and I don't see how that's necessary for a web browser to function. So something to look out for. Windows 10 will soon start notifying users of imminent NVMe SSD failure. So you have three types of hard drives. There's the traditional big silver block that is an HDD, and now they can be silver, but they're often black. The little 2.5 inches, those are usually SSDs. And then there's an NVMe SSD, which is a chip-like hard drive that goes on the motherboard of a computer. That's what we're talking about. So Windows 10 Insider Preview Build 2022-6, which is a beta build for beta testers basically, has this notifying capability. When unusual activity is detected on the drives, the user is notified, and that usually indicates to you that you should back up the data on there if it's not, and then swap hard drives when you get the chance.
Another workaround for the Nvidia 3060 GPU has been discovered. If an HDMI is plugged into the GPU's HDMI port, the car's limiter is deactivated. You may think you need a monitor for such a workaround. Wrong. A $6 dummy HDMI plug is enough to bypass the limiter.
Computer manufacturer Acer has been hit with a $50 million ransomware attack. This was pulled off by a hacker group named Revil, capital R, capital E, VIL. The group says that if it is not paid by March 28th, they will leak the stolen data that they've gotten from that attack. It has been speculated that a recent Microsoft Exchange vulnerability was the way into their systems. Now on to today's tech tip. It's a little more in-depth tech tip, but it is the concept of a proper backup. So some people will have a second hard drive along with their first one. They'll copy data onto the second one to save it, and then they'll delete the stuff off of their primary hard drive. That is not what a backup is. Copying the data off the primary hard drive to the second and keeping the primary is a backup. You need to have it in 2 or more locations. A lot of people like to use the cloud. They'll put one on a backup hard drive, they'll put one on the cloud, and then you could take the one off of your primary hard drive because it's still in 2 locations. But of course, the more locations, the better. 3, 4, having one on the primary, the backup, and the cloud is probably the best practice.
Now we'll get into today's tech discussion on web browsers, some of the most common ones and their features. The first one is Google Chrome, which is the world's most popular web browser. Holds around 70% of the market. It's the fastest of the browsers, but it's very RAM intensive compared to the others. They also collect more information than any of the other browsers, which is horrible for user privacy, even with their hope to stop using third-party cookies. Holds the best luck with website compatibility, isolates tabs and extensions into individual processes, so many running processes under Chrome when looking in Task Manager. There's a password management tool and a reading mode.
The next one on our list is Firefox. This is an open source web browser, meaning that the users can see the code that the browser is built on. It is capable of using a containers extension to have different account sessions on a single site with the same browser open, instead of having to close or reopen an entire different browser. We're not going to go too much into detail on that. That's almost a whole discussion in itself. Firefox has been a strong advocate for online privacy. You can turn on fingerprinting protection, disable cookies, and many other features. You can even protect from cryptojacking. It has a built-in password management tool. They offer a built-in VPN at an additional cost. They have a pocket feature to save a web page to view later. immense amount of customizability. There's lots of extensions, there's lots of themes, and there's many different ways you can reorganize the web browser to look exactly the way you want it to. And they have a built-in reading mode, which is, it strips down the web page and only presents text to you. It takes off the ads and any images and stuff like that to make things very readable.
Next, we'll be talking about Brave, which has a built-in cryptocurrency wallet, built-in ad, fingerprinter, crypto mining, and cookie blocker. Comes with an anonymous ad system that rewards those who opt in with their BAT, basic attention token, cryptocurrency. It's based on Chromium, has a reading mode, and they have a Tor integration feature.
So with the basic attention token cryptocurrency payment system that you use for rewards if you opt into their anonymous ads, you can opt out of that as well. Some people really don't like that, so they put the option to not participate in that. Microsoft Edge, which comes in every fresh copy of Windows 10. The new one is a blue and green swirl, like I mentioned before when we briefly touched on web browsers. This web browser is very compatible with web pages. It is low on system resources. It offers an Internet Explorer mode for people still needing the Legacy Explorer. This Legacy Explorer, like we mentioned in a past Tech Talk, is getting phased out, but that is why that this is in here. So for people who aren't entirely ready to phase it out, like big corporations or something like that, they can flip this mode on and still do what they need to do. This also has a very immersive reading mode, more so than the rest of these web browsers that we're talking about.
And I think everybody's familiar with this one. It's Safari, the go-to web browser for Mac devices. It's the best performing browser on Apple devices. It has a great reading mode. It was the first one to implement it. And device fingerprinting protection.
So Safari's catching up on the built-in privacy capabilities like Firefox and Brave has. They're definitely getting better than they have in the past, but they're still a little bit behind. The last web browser is Opera. It also has a built-in cryptocurrency wallet. It has a free built-in VPN. Some people like it, some people don't. It also has built-in ad blockers, tracker blockers, and crypto jacking blockers. So as you can see, there's a lot more web browsers on the market than the given to you Safari or Microsoft Edge or the popular Google Chrome that a lot of people use. My favorite is Firefox. I know Jason is a big advocate of Brave because of the additional privacy features that Firefox has and that Brave has. They're really easy to try out. I recommend that, if you have one you've always used, even if you like it, why don't you try something different? You might find that you like something else and it works better for you.
I personally like Google Chrome just because the compatibility with most websites and just much easier to use, along with my Gmail, stuff like that.
Yeah, it is very integrated into everything. A lot of websites are specifically making and tailoring the functionality of their website to Google Chrome, so I can understand that. But their terrible privacy habits is completely steered me away from it. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Tech Talk. We'll catch you in the next one next week.